Alrighty, folks. I am going to start living vicariously via someone I know, respect, and like, Mr. Bill Allen. He has launched something called Teenage Tycoon that I really think is going to take off and really help kids and families talk about money. I don't think we talk about money. I think it's a
Yeah.
taboo subject. I think it's just something that adds stress. And we're going to find out what happened at week 3 of Teenage Tycoon. So, Bill, I just want to hear what's going on, man. I want to live through all the fun.
I feel like a news reporter, and it must be how you feel like every day. So, I like reporting the news about the kids that are, and it's really the families, like the families that are making strides financially. So it's been really
Exactly.
cool this week. So if you didn't watch us last week, what we talked about was I gave the kids an assignment to find something in their house, whether it's a garage or attic or something like that, or something valuable that they could sell online, and have their parents say, "You could go sell that. Like we don't use it anymore." They can find it, they clean it up, they add some value to it. They find the as is value and what their parents paid for it potentially. Or maybe it's something of theirs. Like some of the kids are selling their computer monitors that they're not using anymore. They were selling like some older clothes or shoes or things like that that they don't wear anymore. They cleaned them up, added value to them, and selling them online. Toys, stuff like that they had. And so last week we came back together and shared everybody. We have a Slack channel for the kids. So I didn't mention it, we're teaching them how to use Slack because it's something
Nice.
that they will potentially and most likely use, whether they're
Oh, for sure.
entrepreneurs or in somebody else's business in the future, instead of going on having a Facebook group and putting them on Facebook where a lot of parents might not want them to be. And
Mhm.
so we're teaching them how to use Slack. So we have a Slack channel where they're sharing all their sales. And so we had kids making between like $100 and $300 this last, week of
Wow.
them cleaning things up, selling things online. A lot of them had things listed. They were posting the listings so we could take a look at it, give them feedback, all that stuff. And so what my son found in the attic was we found multiple things. So we found a espresso machine that apparently my wife used about 10 times and then just put in the attic about a year ago. And then we found a lot of other baby stuff. So I mentioned I sold a stroller and the jogging stroller and a double stroller to kind of trigger this idea. And we found a like baby bassinet, a pack and play cribs and stuff like that from when our kids were little. And
Mhm.
so we pulled everything out of the attic that he thought and I thought would be valuable that we could sell. We laid it all out in the spare bedroom, and then he got to pick the item that he wanted to sell first.
Okay.
And he did a really good job. Like he picked the most expensive thing that we had, which was the espresso machine. And I also think it was really smart because it was really cold here and snowing last week, which we kind of talked about on Monday. So that Monday, that right after I talked to you, we cleaned it up. He cleaned it up. I didn't do anything. He cleaned it up. We took pictures and I took pictures of my phone, but he told me like where to put it and how to structure it and stuff. He's like, "Oh, get one from the side. Let's get one turned on. Let's plug it in." All that stuff. And then we looked at as is like what it cost brand new. It was $850 espresso machine brand new. And then we
Okay.
looked at sold comps. So we looked at actual stuff that was sold, things sold locally between $250 and $450. And there was one listed for $550. So
Mhm.
there's one current listing for $550. So just like you guys learned how to comp properties, we were comping espresso machines. And so we listed it, and what I noticed, I said, "How much do you want to list it for, buddy?" And he's like, "Well, like let's just list it for 400 so I can get 400." And I said, "Well, like these sold. There's one that sold for 450, and you might be able to get more. There's only one other one in town, and there's a bunch of other espresso machines." And what I noticed was a lot of the ones that sold had been listed higher, and then there was a line through it, and then a lower price. So I
Mm.
said, "You know what? Why don't we just list it for 550? Let's see what we get. And
Mhm.
then if we don't get anything in a day or two, we'll just line it out and drop the price to like 450 and then
Okay.
sell it and move it like that." And he's like, "Okay, let's do it." And so we listed it, and I got some scammers. So I got to teach him about scammers that were like asking for my Zelle and stuff. And like, they're going to send me money without even seeing it, all that stuff. Their cousin's going to come pick it up because they have to work, all that
Sure.
stuff. So as I was taking that, I was, educating him on what it looks like, what's putting up red flags for me.
Yep.
And then we had a family say they wanted to come look at it the next day. So on that was on Tuesday, and on Wednesday they came to my office, looked at it, and bought it. Paid full price $550. So
There you go.
he wasn't there to negotiate it, and he wasn't at my office, so I had to bring it into the office. It was snowing, all that stuff. He wanted to play with his friends. He didn't want to come
Sure.
in. So then he and I had to negotiate what his cut of that 550 was going to be.
Oh, I like it. You just didn't give him the. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah. And so the concept here is that all of these kids are getting this money, and this is the seed capital for their business. So they're not going to spend any of that money. They're not going to give any of that money yet. They're going to invest it all back into the business. 100% of it goes into the business of what they're going to do next. So we negotiated back and forth. He's like, I think I should get 550. I was like, come on, dude. I did the negotiation. I did all the
Yeah.
chatting. Like you wanted to play on your iPad instead of coming to my office. Like, sorry, buddy, that's going to cost you, man. And
Yeah.
so then he
That
was like,
ain't
all right,
free.
100. Yeah. So he's like 550. I'm like, no. And he's like, all right, $100. And I was like, come on, man. Like you're going to straight from 550 to 100. And then we landed at 300 after a little conversation. So he's got $300
Okay.
in seed capital for his business now. And then to add on to that, what we did was on Thursday night, every other Thursday we have a mentorship call where a group of mentors, somebody comes in and speaks to the kids. And so friends of mine that teach people how to flip on eBay, like buy stuff at garage sales, yard sales, thrift shops, flea markets. They're called the flea market flippers. And so they came in and they taught the kids how to set up their eBay account, best practices, how to take good pictures, what to look for, what kind of things to buy, how to find the right margins, find free stuff, how they find free stuff all the time that they could sell for $300, $500, $1,000 that are just free on the side of the road or free on OfferUp or free on Facebook Marketplace and what to look for. And then the kids got to ask him a bunch of questions. The call was about an hour and a half. It was incredible to watch these kids. And frankly, some of the parents, I'm certain that they were putting in the questions in the chat. Like they were on Zoom and so it was like black screen with their name. And there were some really complex questions about eBay and other things. And I was like, these parents they're on the computer watching, which is cool. It's totally fine. Like the families sit
That's the
around.
goal. The
Yep.
family. Yeah. You've
Yep.
got to give permission to talk
Totally.
about money.
Yep.
It's
And
a,
so
it's a
it's just really cool to
awesome.
look, if I love it. I took a screenshot of all the kids with their cameras on and they're just watching and you can see, you have to keep them engaged. We got to keep the kids engaged. You got to keep them interested. So, drop something in the chat or tell me how much money you want to make or, hey, what are you guys thinking about this point? So that's kind of my job. Most of the people that come speak, they're used to speaking to adults, older crowds, things like that. So just keeping it really fun and not like it's school, it's not homework, it's a money maker. So we don't call them assignments at the end. So they basically have homework at the end of these sessions, but we call them money makers. Like if they do it, they're going to make money. So we got a money maker assignment there at the end, and they had to go set up their eBay account, get all these things ready, and go start listing things on eBay.
I want to poke at that a little bit. Do most kids, and I'll call kids, 8 to 18, is making money a thing? Like, do they get excited by that? Some do,
Uh,
some don't. I don't know.
no, these kids do.
There you go. They
Because I
self-select.
basically I said, hey, who wants to make a money? And honestly, I'll tell you what. We did the live event here. I had about 150 people here at my office. And leading up to this in December, we kind of wanted to see what the demand was, who was going to be the right family for this. And we invited a ton of local people because I have a farmer's market here and I have a very active Facebook group. So I just dropped in my Facebook group, come here, and then we also streamed it across the country to like 300-400 families. And so what I noticed in the audience here is every kid raised their hand that they wanted some money, like they wanted more money. And so the older kids, they want car, they want gas, they want that kind of stuff. But the younger kids, they want a little bit more freedom to buy what they want, and some of the things that they want. So they're not really like, some of them are more like, I want to save more money, like I want to save for the future. But some of them are, I want to spend right now.
Yeah,
And
so they're
so I
make
think
they're making the mental connection between, you know, money and something like,
yes,
okay.
yeah,
But that
they
makes
just
sense.
They
Yeah.
so they want some money. It's not like they're not all like, I want to be a millionaire next month, but they
No.
really are like, and they're not all, I want to start a business right now. They're just, I want to figure out how to make some more money. Like I have a little job. I don't make enough. Like I kind of want
Yeah.
more than what I have. Those kind of things. It's just, yeah, there's definitely an interest in that because they're connecting money to something, whether it's video games, freedom, saving, a car one day, college, those kind of things. They're thinking about that. And all the kids were. They all raised their hand. Because
I
in the
love that.
beginning, I was like, hey, who wants to learn how to make some money today? And they all raise their hand. Like even the kids that parents dropped them off,
Huh.
the introverted kids, the extroverted kids, they all kind of raise their hand. So yeah, I do
See,
think that.
that's why I think you're onto something with Teenage Tycoon, because I can see as this goes around, like you're in week 4 of
Yeah.
this thing, and you're already talking about having these kids build a business, right? You're already talking about seed capital. You're already talking about negotiation. You're already talking about scams. You're already talking about, hey, how do you find stuff for free, add value, sell? How and then,
Yeah.
I can already see the evolution. Then it's gonna be okay. How do you take 20% and put it on the side for a rainy day? How do you
Yeah.
take 10% and ball out, do whatever you want with, right? You gotta enjoy life. Um, and again, I go back to the family. Yes, it's teenage tycoons, but if you give the family permission to talk about money or income or eventually taxes. Oh my God.
Yep.
What 7-year-old knows taxes, right? You could give them an ice cream cone with 2 scoops and take the top one off and say that's taxes, but you know,
I've
you got
been
to do
doing that.
something.
I've been doing that since my kids were babies. So they always
Nice.
say to me, Dad, no tax today. No
No
tax.
tax. No
I said, hey,
tax.
dude, because we'll go to Andy's, we'll go through the drive-through, and then every one of their ice creams come, and I take a spoonful and I just say, Dad, tax.
Dad tax.
And so Will always says, Dad, no tax today, no tax. Like as we're driving through the drive-through, and I'm like, hey,
No
buddy,
tax. No
not the way it
tax.
works, man. It's not the way it works. I'll tell you what, if you buy it, I won't charge tax.
That's right. If it's your dollar, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, that's
And so
amazing.
that's the conversation that we have. Like they don't have a tax-free ice cream. It just doesn't
So
happen.
let's tease what the free market flippers kind of gave away, just so people realize if they are a part of Teenage Tycoon, kind of the value they will get in week 5, week 6, week 7. What were
Yeah.
just 2 or 3 little teases that they dropped on the students?
Yeah. So a couple things. So these folks, like they actually have a course. They sell courses and products and they have a coaching community and stuff like that. They're good friends of mine. And so the first thing that they did was they talked about basically the like how to set up and quickly figure out what to sell your things on eBay for and what sells really well. So you could do like a little market analysis before you get started of what to look for. And so it's really supply and demand equations that we were teaching them on
Yeah.
eBay. So what are some things to look for? And so one specifically, they said, one question I asked at the end, I said, look, these kids don't have a lot of money, right? So they don't want to buy like really expensive stuff. What is the number one thing that you guys see that is given away for free that makes you the most money? So that
Ooh.
you can find for free that makes the most money. And their answer was pretty much it's exercise equipment, like could be weights or
Yeah.
things like that, like maybe a treadmill, or he said a Nordic track. Like Nordic track was one of his best things that
Yeah,
he
those are
would get for
expensive. We
free.
had one for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, clean it up, and he's selling these things for like 500 to 750. And so and then secondly, so it was exercise equipment and furniture. So
That
those
makes
were the two
sense.
things that they really look for. And they're usually like not a lot of scams that you get because people are like putting like free when it's not free or like it's
Right.
stuff like that. But they
Yeah.
said pretty much people want to get rid of this stuff because it takes up too much room in their house.
Yeah. One of the guys that I speak with occasionally, his name's Ryan Pineda out of Las Vegas.
Mhm.
And he started his career being a couch flipper.
Yeah.
And a lot of his couches, he says he got for free. All they had to do is go pick them up. Right.
Yep.
And that makes total sense, right? Big, bulky things,
Yep.
right? Just get it out of my house, right? I already got a new couch. I don't need a second one. It makes total sense. Equipment,
Exactly. And
exercise
you can clean
equipment
it
makes
up.
sense.
You can add value. He's talking about how you might need to fix something or tighten some things up. Just make sure it all works. It might need like a fuse or something, like small things that if you can figure
Yeah.
out how to learn some of that stuff and be a little bit handy. And then, I mean, he went up from there to like, they do sometimes like really big, like ice cream machines and refrigerators and that kind of stuff, like
Wow.
commercial type stuff. And they're shipping those around the country. So he's figured out how to get the shipping prices down. So he talked a little bit about that. Talked also about some great photos, like how to write photos and descriptions and titles
Mm.
to make sure that your things stand out and they pop. So we talked about that a lot. And the cool thing about this program is everything's recorded. So you can go back and like watch the
Yeah.
previous exercises together. And I mean, you can really just drop in there and pick up. I would say the first thing that I would give to anyone is let's get their kids to get that seed capital assignment and project going.
Yeah.
and find that thing. I think this is the best way to get started. Like they don't have to take their money gets created by stuff around the house that they don't need, and they can actually kick off their
Yeah.
and I say business, but really just whatever they want. So like the next evolution of what we're doing is bringing in more of the Etsy type selling, crafting, things like that. Just lots. Right now, we're in this phase of like lots of different ideas and ways for them to potentially make money that might be attractive. So one or two of the things might be attractive to one of the kids that's not to the others.
I think
And
that is
so,
so amazing because you are not predisposition. Like you have this thing called seven-figure flipping, right?
yep,
And it would be very easy for you to say, all right, we're gonna scale down from houses to exercise equipment. No, you're also going to go Etsy. You're going to do all these other things because the power in that is there are so many ways, almost unlimited ways to make money in this world. But if you can find a way to make money that is also something that lights you on fire, meaning you're excited about it,
yeah,
that's where this thing just becomes fun. It becomes a game. If you can
yeah,
make making money a game to a kid, his life will be fundamentally changed forever.
yep.
It's amazing to watch.
And this is how I started. I started as a kid, buying candy in bulk and breaking it up and selling it individually to make a profit. And I just always wanted to
Buy
turn
by the foot,
thousands.
sell by the inch. It's a simple
That's it.
concept.
And then going to, mowing grass, baseball cards, those kind of things, just stuff that I was interested in. I was interested in money, but baseball
Money,
cards, I
me
loved it.
too. Yeah.
I love baseball cards and getting autographs on the cards, going to the game, seeing the players, watching them on TV, those kind of things. So it was interesting to me. So it had an opportunity to make some money. Then it was cars. Then I got really into cars and I started fixing up cars and like bartering and trading and selling stuff for my Mustang.
Mm.
And then, selling that car, fixing it up, selling that car, and then buying the next one and then fixing that one up. And
I gotta ask, what year was the Mustang?
I had a 91 50 that
Ooh,
so
5.0.
yeah.
91. I
And
like it.
so, and I would take it to the track every Friday. Every Friday had this
Wow.
test and tune Friday at the track, quarter-mile track. So
Okay.
I was constantly like reading these racing magazines and putting something on my car, but I wanted to get a supercharger. So what I did was I saved up my money, and then my friend's dad owned a part shop, and he could get all of the Mustang parts. So I got a saline spoiler at cost, so I didn't have to pay retail for it. He sold it to me at cost. And so I took that and some money and traded it for a supercharger that a guy had, used supercharger. I remember driving with my dad to Virginia to negotiate with this guy. So I gave him the spoiler and some money, and we got the supercharger. And then I supercharged my car myself in my driveway at home.
Wow.
Um, I was 17 years old when I did that, and then I took it out and I blew the head gasket the first time I dropped the hammer on it right after I put it on. And so then I had to take
Too
off the
much, a little bit
whole
too much.
too much power. I didn't have enough. I didn't put a new fuel pump in. I didn't put a new oil pump
Uh,
in. It was a mistake.
Everything
And
around the supercharger was still generic.
totally
Boom.
head gasket. It was a 94,000-mile car. That head gasket was going to blow
Uh,
anyway. So, uh,
yeah.
but then I took apart the whole engine down to the
Yeah.
block, and I did all the work myself. It was just really cool to do. I had
Yeah.
such fun doing that.
Yeah. I just love what you're doing with Teenage Tycoon. Again, you're planting seeds early. And what I really loved, even with your son, how easy would it have been for you to just say, okay, here's the 550?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Well,
no.
what's interesting is on the call that night, my son did not come on the call. And so I asked them on the call how much they think how much he earned. And the
Uh-huh.
other kids were putting in there, putting what they thought. And one of them said he should negotiate for it. And I said, that's
Aha.
it. That's the answer. Because
That's it.
I was gonna decide until one of the kids said, let him negotiate for it. And I was like, that's it. And so I got
That's
off that call the next morning, Friday morning. I said, hey, Will, we need to talk about this, the money that came in,
yeah.
from the sale yesterday. What do you think we should do? And me and him just had a conversation about it because he's still pretty young. 9,
Yeah.
it's been interesting. Like he's on and off with this.
Yeah.
So, especially when your dad's the coach, like when your dad's the coach, it's like, you
Yeah.
know, uh, I'm gonna mess around a little bit, not gonna listen. So it really
Yeah,
is,
he's gonna click with one of the other students. That's just how it's gonna go. He's gonna find a new
yeah,
best friend,
yeah,
and I don't know when it'll happen, but you can see the future. It will happen.
for sure. And he's reading the books. He likes to read. but he doesn't like to be forced or told what to do. So we're reading this book called Swim by Walter Bond right now, and he's through 4 chapters now, so, which is great. He's with all the other kids on the reading. So
Very, very cool. Yeah,
and usually I said the reading for like we try to set it around 11 and 12 and up for the reading group. So, but I really like to push him to read these books, and I'm also giving him a bonus, so he gets $20 for every book that he reads and a report that he writes for me,
there you
even
go.
inside the program.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I really think you're onto something. I know you're 4 weeks in. I know how passionate, and exciting you are. It's going to be fun every week, just catching up. You have any? Can you give us a tease? What's next week?
Yeah, so right now I'm working on scheduling a friend of mine who is a huge e-commerce person. I don't want to promise who it is because we're
That's
working
fine.
on calendar, and it's like it's February 1st at 7 p.m. Central. So if they can't make it, I gotta like schedule it out. So, but she does millions of dollars on Amazon. She makes 7 figures just running backlinks to
Oh
blogs and
wow.
stuff that she writes on for other Amazon products. And so she does a lot of, buying in bulk and reselling stuff to an email list and things like that. And she does really, really well, has a huge program for selling on Amazon and Etsy and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
e-commerce type stuff. So I want to teach them that next week would be really cool. If not, we're going to talk more finances. So we're going to, like you said, we're going to talk about the different buckets now that they have their money that they're making. What buckets are we going to put in some more financial training? And then the week after that, actually, let's talk about that in the future. But one thing I did change this week was I thought 2 weeks was too far away. So we did my call on January 4th, and then the next call wasn't for 2 weeks till January 18th. So it just felt too far away for me. So what I told him is I'm going to come on every other week in between. So every Thursday now at 7 p.m. Central is when we do it. And
Nice.
then in between, there are accountability calls.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
where are
How
you
you
at?
doing?
What's
Yep.
going on
Yep.
with
Yep.
you? How'd you do setting up your eBay account? Do you guys have questions? Did you get stuck? Like, what'd you
Right.
learn? Those kind of things. So we do every other Thursday now. So we got a mentorship call and then an accountability call, then a mentorship call and
Oh, I
accountability.
think that the consistency is key. That way it becomes almost a date night or a family night, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
that.
that family game night turned into
Yeah.
family money night. That's what the Thursday night, 7
Family
p.m.
money
Central.
night. That
That's
is
it.
the name.
Yeah.
Dude, family money night. I'd be down for that. If people want to learn more about this, check this out. Where are we sending them?
We're sending them to some link in description that you have,
Okay, link in the
aren't we?
description below. Yeah, that works for me.
Put it there. It's the easiest way.
There you go. There you
Like
go.
you're watching
Bill,
this video, you just click on the description, click on the link to go there. And then there's a video there, talks a little bit about it, some of the bullet points. You can set up a call with my team if you need to.
yeah.
I think that's the next step. You just kind of talk to somebody. It's no pressure, but
Yeah,
love to have
family
you.
money
Really
night.
excited.
Family money night. And again, if you have a couple of kids, they both can come in. This is a
Oh yeah, it's
family
yeah,
thing.
it's per family. Yeah, that's it. If
Yeah,
you have
per
10
family.
kids, 12 kids, that's fine. If you have one, I tell people you should probably have more.
Yeah,
So
use this as babysitting. I'm just kidding.
yeah, well, we need better leaders. We need good
Yeah,
leaders. Good people should have more kids. So
there you go.
one thing I didn't mention, the flea market flippers, the cool thing that they did on the call is they said, hey, we're actually like recording a course about this right now that they were selling, but we'll give it to all of you families for free. And so like